Hey everyone, good evening, happy Thursday night, and welcome to Wally DM. Great to have everybody here for Game Master Roundtable. I believe this is number 7, since we have gone by GM Roundtable as opposed to the DM Roundtable. And it is great to see everyone. It looks like the live chat is already fired up and ready to go. Absolutely love to see that. If you have any questions for us, oh yeah, we've got the parental advisory signs, the beware of dog. I don't get it. That's the wrong sign, Fred. If live chat, if you have any questions for us, just start your question off in big capital letters with question, and we'll try to pull those out as we go. And just thanks for being here. It's great to have you. And what we're going to do today in our GM Roundtable is a game that we like to call Fun with Monsters. So we have 4 monsters on tap for you. We have the Pegasus, the Skeleton, the Dryad, and the Imp, and we're going to each take turns, go around and tell you some fun and interesting ways that we would use the monsters in our game. And I believe my sound checks are in order, so let me introduce all of my friends here from around the world, starting in the blue corner with Mr. AJ Pickett.
Hi. Hi. The tradition is out of the way.
Yes.
My name is AJ Pickett. I run a YouTube channel where I talk about aliens and monsters, and I do reviews of games now.
Fantastic.
Am I getting an echo from somewhere?
Oh, I don't know. Not from me, I hope. I don't think so. I don't hear an echo. Uh-oh.
Who's got the live stream playing in the background?
The live
Was it
stream?
me?
Maybe that's you.
Oh, it was me. It was me.
It's all right, man. In the red square, we have Mark from Dungeon Class.
Yeah, Mark from Dungeon Class, our YouTube channel. I guess cover everything, all that's fun, emphasis on fun. I'm trying to figure out these newfangled shorts right now, so I'm all in on shorts currently.
Yeah, nobody's really worried about what you're wearing right now. Shorts, the video version. Gotcha. It's like I don't know what condition your shorts are in.
I'm not wearing anything, but that's another story.
There we go. Parental advisory, please. In the green square, we have Steely Sam. Welcome.
How's it going? I am Steely Sam, and I make videos on YouTube, mostly D&D.
In the yellow square, Fred from How to RPG.
Hi, my name is Fred Wheeler, and yes, I do stuff for role-playing games. Apparently, although I'm trying to shift over to rocket-propelled launchers because it will make me more money on YouTube than talking about role-playing games, apparently. And this game, as it happens, and a few of us will know this, this game is actually created by Mark. Mark and Gonzo came up with this Fun with Monsters thing, and we keep doing it because, 1, we get to talk about monsters, and everybody here likes monsters. Also, right. 2, we get to goof off, and then 3, we also get to just talk shit, and that's helpful too. Okay, so if you're wondering what you're in for, you're going to get some useful stuff, and then you're going to get some doggy stuff. Like you probably won't be able to use it. But you might laugh. So that's the main thing.
Well, at least he said shit outside of the first 3 minutes, so I think we're good as far as content goes. Well, thanks for delaying that for us. I appreciate it. And then hello everyone. I am Wally DM. I am in the purple square. I wrote a puzzle book. You can find that on TTRPG. Fred's got it right there. It is an adamantine bestseller, and purely humbled by all of the good folks that have purchased it. I also have a YouTube channel that is focused on puzzles and traps, and you are on it, so welcome to my YouTube channel. Be sure to like the video if you don't mind. That helps the channel a lot, and subscribe because we've got some really crazy stuff going on. And with that, I am going to take a break for a little bit, and I'm going to pass it off to Fred. Fred is actually going to lead us through the monsters, and he is going to be the ringleader. So it's all yours, Fred. Take it away.
Sure, will do. You can now take your medication, Wally.
Thank you.
I'm in control,
What?
and
Time
I can
for
assure
my medication.
And it is definitely time. So at this point, usually things get out of hand, but we'll do this gently for those of you who need to be gentle. So how would you go about using a Pegasus? Like that's the flying horse thing, right? How do you use a Pegasus in your role-playing game in an interesting or fun way, including it in some way? And I'm going to go straight to AJ Pickett. Let's just get that done because he's going to give us the lore anyway. So let's do it now.
I kind of am, yeah. Like Pegasus, it's kind of weird because the guy who originally rode the Pegasus, he was given like a special bridle to basically to grab Pegasus and make him under his control because otherwise, it's very iffy about who would ride him. It was because Pegasus was the son of a god, and that god was also related to that hero that made Pegasus his cousin kind of thing. That's the way that Greek myth works. I don't know. It's very strange. So, yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's kind of strange. Hey, go ride your cousin into battle. And the whole story, of course, is that, like Pegasus is written by a hero, and that whole idea that that the Pegasus is a noble beast. And not a monster per se, but by any other measure, that it's like a bumblebee. It just shouldn't fly, right? And if you think about a horse flying, its ass would definitely be like it would look like a weird sort of its lower body would be curled underneath it. Like you can imagine if a centaur had wings, how ponderous it would be flying. It looked great in fantasy art, but yeah, the actual aerodynamics would be crazy.
They just fly low enough to drag their hooves on the ground.
Yeah, essentially. But like something like base jumping would be ideal for something like a Pegasus. You see the horse like the fire mares off Krull. It's picking up speed, and then it just leaps off a cliff, and the hero's like, ah! And then the wings unfurl, woof, right when it's all about to hit the ground, and it basically just stops itself and does a glide in, and then you just lance somebody out of nowhere. So yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. And somebody asked me the other day, can you dual wield a lance and a battle axe? And the answer is yes, if it's awesome.
So how are you going to go about using this Pegasus in your games then?
Exactly like that. It would be you would not know it's a Pegasus until the last minute, and then it sort of unfurls its wings. But in the meantime, you could have like some sort of like an armor plate that sits over top of the wing, like a beetle shell. So it's like it looks like the warrior's got some, whoever's riding it has got some sort of big plate on the side, like a shield, like a tower shield on the side of them. And then the Pegasus just sort of boonk, and the plates drop down, the wings unfurl, and he just leaps straight over the line of battle or something like that. Just like reveal it as an awesome moment, and it's cool. But anything other than that, it's just kind of ludicrous.
Okay, well, I've already have the image in my mind from that, AJ, and that is a Pegasus used as an extreme sport for base jumping. People have parachutes to jump off the Pegasus at low altitude without trying to kill themselves.
Yeah, so, and definitely put like blades and stuff like that on its lower leg, so as it's flying over, it can go can just like maul people.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, we went off to an odd start. Base jumping off a Pegasus as an extreme sport, as AJ has put forward for us, is not something I had expected. We're going to go over to Steely, Sam. Steely.
Oh, it was his brother, not his cousin. Thanks, William. Yeah.
All right. Oh, good to know. Steely, as I said before, feel free to speak for more than 60 seconds. I know it's a struggle.
I'm not sure I can. I'm so used to.
Just include some really big pauses.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, fluff. Okay, so yeah. With Pegasi, Pegasuses, I have no idea what the plural for Pegasus is. I like to lean heavily into their speed. They're like the fastest. I don't know if they're actually the fastest. Citation needed. They're pretty fast. I know they're very fast. So racing would be a great way to use the Pegasi. Also, they have a 10 intelligence, or they have a base intelligence. I can't remember if they can communicate, but they can understand. So it's really fun. It's a good role play encounter to make somebody worthy, or to role play with them and find if the player is worthy to give them a ride. So that's very fun as well. Is that 60? How we doing?
I don't know. Maybe we can extend that out when we open the discussion, because usually we do a little share and then we all have a turn and then we open the discussion. So hopefully we'll get Steely in there for more than 60 seconds, people. Okay.
All right, Pastor.
Yeah.
We'll pull it out of them.
Yeah. So I'm going to move on to Mark, primarily because we're waiting for Wally's medication to kick in. So let's do that now. Mark, Pegasus. You've got a Pegasus in your garage, I understand. So please tell us what you do with your Pegasus.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, I don't know about in my garage, but I was. So I was, one of the things I in the DM's guide, the Monster Manual talks about. If you do, they don't really like people riding them pretty much, but if they do let someone ride them, they develop a lifelong bond. And so that lifelong bond thing, I kind of really ran with that. So I introduced to you Eros the Matchmaker, who is a Pegasus that has really leaned into this idea of matchmaking and really has decided to bring couples together. He's known for bringing couples together. That's just kind of his fun thing. He likes to help develop lifelong bonds in other people. So cue the Barry White music. So this is him he puts on, the sultry voice and he helps these young couples find love. And so he's often hired by, he could be hired by the players, help them find love, or to help, offer his services to NPCs to find their soulmates. He has this kind of questionable, really kind of controversial thing, though, that he sometimes has been known to employ a little cherubim named Lust. And Lust has been using, he's really kind of uses an unethical distribution of his arrows to try to help nudge these couples together and really seal the deal, so to speak. So that is Eros the Matchmaker, a Pegasus who has really, really fallen in love with that whole idea of lifelong bonds. That's it.
Mm-hmm. That was actually quite clean. I'm amazed. Well done.
Okay.
I like the
we were
ending.
expecting
The little jingle at the end.
Our channel is a family channel, so that's
yeah. I'm not really hot on. I'm not worried about that sort of stuff, as you know.
No, I know you're not. No,
I kind of,
It's
Wally,
all good.
I'm assuming that your medication's either kicked in or you are completely gone. But for those of you who are concerned, don't be concerned. Wally can do this while he is inebriated with alcohol, and unlike the rest of us who usually can't deal with that. So Wally will be fine.
Yeah.
Go for it, Wally.
Well, no alcohol tonight. And like the true old man that I am, I actually hid my medication. I haven't taken it yet. Yeah, I took it. Don't worry about it. Leave me alone.
If it's an old man competition, you can hold my teeth, son.
So the Pegasus, out of the 4 monsters we have tonight, this one I had a little bit of problems come up with something that's truly in my try to be funny style, especially since the first thing that came to mind is a flying Pegasus that the writer, and it just likes to make those sudden stops where you just go like right over the top of the Pegasus and it kind of looks down at you. But I think I remember doing that before. So I went with this instead. Perhaps we introduce a Pegasus and maybe one of the characters, I forgot what you said about that, Mark. They bond with the Pegasus, or the Pegasus like, yeah, dude, you can ride me for the rest of your life. That's cool.
Yeah.
Something like that on the friendly channel. I was like, what would be cool is maybe what the Pegasus doesn't tell that person is they have a cursed item, and that cursed item is wild magic horseshoes. And while this Pegasus and whoever is bonded, or these two hanging out, in your adventure or whatever else, there's a good chance that energy from those wild magic horseshoes will come up through the Pegasus and affect them. So the DM can be rolling, and maybe roll a D6, and you roll a 6, and then you get out whatever book that you want, maybe your player's handbook, and just turn to the wild magic surge table and then roll and see what happens. And I wouldn't even tell them about these horseshoes for a while. And the Pegasus is like, yeah, I don't know. It's the strangest thing. Every once in a while, it just, I erupt into a fireball.
Can it please make sparkle rainbows come out of their wings as they fly?
Oh, absolutely. I think we could have a whole Pegasus Wild Magic Surge table. I think there's room for that in our TTRPGs, and we could probably do a D1000 chart for just all the things that could happen if your Pegasus has Wild Magic Surge horseshoes. And that's all I have.
I'm here for that.
Okay.
Yep.
I love charts and tables.
Yep.
Nicely done. Okay, so my ideas are mostly been taken as it happens. So I have been scribbling like a mad idiot, anything that I can potentially add to this conversation before I open it up. So the only thing I really have are two things left now. The first one is I kind of feel like, and we've said this before, when it comes to flying creatures, they make a brilliant unit for an army. Sort of like a flying cavalry unit would be just perfect for an army. If you wanted to have something like that, not quite as good as dragons, but I think maybe cooler because they're a bit more fragile, and you have to worry about whether they wind up losing some feathers, or usually there's usually scales and armor all over a dragon. But Pegasus, it's kind of like taking yourself in one of those fibrolite, there's those ultralight wings that you can get. Now, for those of you who don't know, the death rate for flying those things is extremely high. Okay, you can be guaranteed either dying or losing a limb, or something you might need like an arm or a leg. Constantly happens. I know this because my father used to tell me about all the horrible things that used to happen in Australia, where apparently everybody needs to have a fibrolite, but is now in a wheelchair. So don't get yourself an ultra flying little light thing. That's probably a bad idea. The next idea was actually spawned by the conversation here, and I'm going to suggest an aerial fertilizing Pegasus who does like a dusting or a sort of like a drop of their leftovers, like their poo. As they're pooping, this is the time they fly over the farmers' fields to drop off their load. Or if they need to unload either a number 1 or a number 2. And then I decided there is an old ad out there that was advertising the potty for adults. I think it was the potty for adults, and it involved a unicorn. So now we need to have a flying unicorn Pegasus, okay, that doesn't just poop out poo, but poops out rainbow poo.
That was a Kickstarter. It didn't work.
Didn't work?
Yeah.
It did work because I was selling those particular things, that product in Mitre 10 in New Zealand. So I can assure you they succeeded in getting it done. So
it's like the camper van ones that you take them on the holiday, and
it's basically
like hand crank washing machines.
It's basically it's basically an adult potty. It's an adult potty.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. It's just made for a larger backside. That's all it is. And it takes me right back to that thing where you could see the unicorn pooping yellow, rainbow colored poop, and then they would take the poop and put it into an ice cream cone and then give it to people to eat. So
raining glitter?
Who's taking the drugs, Fred? Near you.
Yeah.
You got it. That was the Squatty Potty commercial.
Yeah.
We need more of those. We need more of those commercials.
Seriously.
No idea what's going on anymore.
So would we like to open up the conversation to the Pegasus, not the Squatty Potty, unless of course you really feel you need to?
Well, just to put an end to the Squatty Potty one, Richard from the chat says Pegasus crop duster. So Fred, you could have just said Pegasus crop duster. I think that's where we need to be.
Well, that's essentially what I said. I just was long-winded. I was trying to get more words in there because I'm trying to extend beyond the 60-second.
Talking of long-winded, like some sort of a gastric assist on their flight takeoff would be certainly a way of clearing a battlefield really quickly.
Like a jet-propelled flying.
It's got like this flint tail.
This is what we're gonna.
That would be impressive.
Oh my goodness.
happening right
Oh
now.
my goodness.
Yeah, well, I know where'd this conversation go? It sounds like that Seinfeld episode where Kramer fed it beans. The were rusty.
Horses don't fart. Hi, Dale.
oh, well, there we go.
And with
Prove it.
the facts in the yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so since I have been near horses before and stood in their business, I can assure you they do fart. Okay,
Yeah, they do.
and I have almost no sense of smell.
They don't
so-
fart, they break wind.
Yeah.
like a lady.
I'll pull out a few of the comments from chat here. So Forik says a Pegasus that doesn't believe it can fly unless it has a feather in its mouth. That sounds interesting. I like that idea.
I do too.
Dale at Blackbird Studio Design says, I would rather have a Pegasus overhead than a flying cow. And I agree with you 100%, Dale. And the rest of them are about squatty potties.
Okay.
I do
Alright,
like
so-
the idea of a jet propelled thing making a high pitched squealing sound, because that would and then the Pegasus comes in and it's like, "Rah!" and then you realize it's it's like some sort of a jet contrail coming out the back. Yeah. Blinding everyone on the battlefield. The fumes. Or there'd been some sort of an arms race between like goblins flying manticores and, local townsfolk breeding and taming Pegasi, and the Pegasi are just like really fussy, so they have to feed them specific food and things like that. Like, magic gummy berries.
Only organic.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing now. Is now everybody wants just organic.
Yeah.
Did,
Yeah, it's like, you're not pretty enough to ride me, so all the warriors are just like, is my makeup fine? Is my mascara running? You have to charm the Pegasus and bow to it and do this whole ritual before it will, like, okay, the forms have been obeyed.
Oh my goodness.
Steely,
Wow.
you're regretting getting onto this live stream now, aren't you?
Yeah, what did you get
Absolutely not.
into?
I do have a question though.
I'm ready.
Since there is actually 6 members in this panel now, I thought there was only 5, but there's actually 6. What does your cat have to say about the Pegasus?
My cat?
Don't you have a cat wandering behind there, or is that a small dog?
That is a dog. It's Homer. And he would probably bark at it.
Okay,
Hmm.
all right.
He has a lot to say, but few words.
Mm.
I mean, come on, Fred, you've got a sign for him, so
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, there we go.
Beware of the dog. Yeah, I forgot about that.
This one's harmless.
I don't know why you brought
Just
that.
pass
That's
it out.
hilarious.
It's the best I could find. Hey, I couldn't find a stop sign and I couldn't find a mature audience sign. So the beware of the dog was the only thing I could grab my hands on. So I had to have something
That
because
works.
Okay, so we were obviously done with the Pegasus.
Yeah,
right?
the
And-
Pegasus is done with us. It's like, man, quit running my reputation in the ground. Get me out of here.
Okay. Yeah.
I like
We're
the
not
idea
worthy.
that they sound like a TIE fighter. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can have those scenes like I will, like, say what you want about the prequel movies, but I love that scene where the X-Wings are like coming in on a squad and they're so close to the water that they're kicking up a contrail behind it. Pegasus doing something like that where it's actually looks like it's running on water as it goes. That is so cool. That is so cool.
And then there's like one Pegasus out in front, and there's a dude that's dressed in orange, like, stay on target. Stay on target.
Red
And
leader.
the Pegasus is like, you don't need targeting.
Okay.
Oh.
Let go of the
I need
reins.
to- I need to figure out the mid-journey prompt for that, for the
Yeah.
Pegasus
Okay.
over water.
Yes. Yeah, you do that. So you punch that in while we're doing this. So we would actually like to know, would you believe it, after our shenanigans, we would like to know how you would go about using the Pegasus in your role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Mork Bork. I don't know. What is there any? There's more. There's more games out there. Whatever role-playing game.
Castles and Crusaders.
Castles
Yeah.
and Crusades. Yeah. Let us
there you
know. How would you use the Pegasus? Because you can. It's yours. Yours to do with. It doesn't belong to anybody. Just to you. Okay. So let us know. Wally, do we need to approach chat, or are we ready to unleash the skeleton?
I think we're ready to unleash the skeleton. Yes.
Okay. All right. Nobody needs to go to the toilet after this. That's good. Cool. All right. Moving on. So, how would you go about using the skeleton in your role-playing game? Now, the skeleton, if you hadn't figured out, is a skeleton. I don't care whether it's a human skeleton, it could be any kind of animal skeleton, it could be any kind of monster skeleton, it could be, you make up whatever skeleton it, but we know what a skeleton is. Basically, it's a collection of bones pulled together, bloody, bloody, blah. I'm going to say no more because nobody wants to hear me talk. AJ, fire it up. Let us know about the skeleton and how you'd use it.
The skeleton from the Greek. No, skeletons. They do actually have some Greek mythology thing, because we all know the tale of throwing the dragon's teeth or the monster's teeth into the ground, and skeletons pop up. And yeah, the idea that they're these, summoned supernatural warriors. So essentially, they are negative energy spirits which are infused into a physical thing. So they're basically possessing the skeleton. So the skeleton is not like a zombie. It's got a malevolent intelligence of its own. If you leave it alone in the dungeon in traditional D&D, it will go around and kill every living thing around it, even down to killing blades of grass if there's nothing else going on. They hate life, right? So they're malevolent, and they're kind of like, they're the organic, bespoke Terminator 2, Terminator 500. They're out to destroy all life. And I love the idea, and this is a crazy idea, but you can steal it, of summoning a skeleton, and if there's no bones around available, it will infuse the bones of the person who's trying to summon the skeletons themselves. So now their skeleton itself is fighting against them and trying to kill them. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And it tears them off itself. Yeah. So if you want to add a little bit of horror factor into your game, use that.
I love that.
Oh man.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Gruesome. Tie up your dogs, people. Oh my gosh, that was horrible as a vision.
And the skeleton wants to get out of the rest of the meat body, so it's like just starts to protrude.
Yeah.
Oh man.
His eyeballs are the first thing to go because they're in the way.
Yeah. Oh man.
Wow.
From crop dusting to eye gouging, man. What a turn this is taken.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also skeletons have got no compulsion against ripping off their rib and stabbing you with it if they don't have a
improvised weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, because like finger bones are quite sharp when you look at them. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
Also, because you don't have the sinews and you don't have the sinews and stuff holding the skeleton together. It's got some sort of a supernatural, like, magnetic negative energy force, and the idea of it like trapping your weapons in it and it getting stuck to that force somehow. Like if your weapon is not blessed or something like that, it's vulnerable to being held and stuck in it. Like I like that idea too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're done, right? Because the first time you spoke, I was like, oh, he's done it in less than 60 seconds. What the heck is he trying to do now? And then you stopped, and then you kept going, and then you stopped, and you kept going. So, okay. Red Bull. That's right. I forgot. For those of you who don't know, AJ's secret to doing his monster videos and his, should I say, alien videos nowadays, and his reviews is drinking a lot of Red Bull. Yeah.
All right. Sponsor.
Steely, it's not a sponsor. That's right. Don't go and buy Red Bull after this. Steely, you want to deal with the skeleton? Obviously, we've creeped people out fairly efficiently now because AJ's done that. So there's really no limit at this point. Go for it.
Perfect. I don't like limits. So for skeletons, I think that skeletons are a great tool for world building and storytelling, because something died here and is now animated. So you can tell a story through skeletons, depending on what kind of skeleton it is, of what died here, what used to be here that isn't anymore, and what killed it. I also like that skeletons are a blank canvas for creativity. You make pretty much anything that has a skeleton into a skeleton, and that adds a lot of like the creativity. That can be a double-edged sword, though. The creativity is, make or break a DM.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, whatever animal or beast or monster that you throw at somebody, it's never over, because there's always the skeleton underneath that you haven't fought yet. Yeah. And for those of you who are wondering, I believe it's the Hydra teeth that you throw to the ground that was done in Jason and the Argonaut that then grows these full-blown sort of humanoid skeletons.
That's right. Yeah. The king did that himself. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously do not go and kill somebody's Hydra when they don't want you to kill the Hydra, okay? It's a bad idea. Otherwise you have to deal with skeletons. Mark.
Always beware the local chieftain with the open shirt and the outlandishly large hat, because he is the cultist or cleric of, kill him first.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, trouble. Mark, skeletons. You have no skeletons in your closet, I imagine. So by all means, if you don't have anything to say about skeletons, that's fine. But if you do, let us know.
I do. The skeletons in my closet totally deserved it. No. So I give you Sir Bones a Lot, as he is affectionately called. So Sir Bones a Lot was a skeleton knight who was he's still seeking for his ultimate defeat. He has not been beaten yet. At least that's the story he tells everybody that fights him. He's fought countless battles throughout the ages. He's never been bested. He's this formidable opponent that your characters would have to defeat at some point, or he could be a valuable ally. He could prove worthy in content. He does not want to discuss the knife that's sticking out of his back that he can't quite reach. He don't want to discuss that. That's neither here nor there. Even though it's obviously what killed him, but he doesn't acknowledge that. So that's the Sir Bones a Lot, who once was a great skill and still is a great knight.
You mean a death knight? You mean a death knight?
Kind of. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although
without all the summoning other things and all these
skeleton bard that plays its ribs as a xylophone. Gotta use that.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Where did that come from?
They're talking about stuff. A gelatinous cube, an undead gelatinous cube that eats people and spits out animated skeletons, and also the skeleton can steal your bones with its held together field, and imagine killing somebody and then sticking their head to itself, and now it can look in both directions.
Oh my gosh!
I love this.
All right,
crafting skill.
Yep.
We do have a question too before I go. Richard says, question, is a skeleton the purest form of undead? So all the others have nasty fleshy parts attached still?
I don't know if zombies are old. Yeah, skeletons are from Greek myth, so yeah. Pretty old.
Also, skeletons are the inevitable form of all undead. Eventually that meat's gonna fall off.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Pegasus just flew by.
Do you want to talk about the skeleton now, Wally, or would you like to continue talking about the squatty potty?
No, we're good. I'll move on to the skeleton. So I don't have anything funny, or of course this could turn out funny, but what we're going to do is on my turn, we're going to play a little game out of the Journal of Puzzle Encounters, and this is going to be a puzzle. So I'm going to kind of paint the scene for you. And I see that my friend Forik is in the chat, and Forik is a patron of the channel, and this is one of his favorite puzzles, and I would probably be lying by saying that, but here we go. This is a puzzle called Bone Bash. If you have the Journal of Puzzle Encounters, it can be found on page 72. So what's going to happen is the four of you are going to enter this room, and when you come in here, all of your possessions are gone. Your weapons, and we're going to say you're all melee fighters to begin with. All of your possessions, all your weapons, and everything is going to be gone. But what you are going to see is you're going to see a rack that is lined with 10 spears, a second rack that has 8 maces, a third rack that has 12 daggers, a rack that has 6 axes, and then a final rack that has 4 short bows. Coming out of the walls are skeletons, and we're going to roll for initiative. Which of those weapons do you choose? Do you choose a spear? Do you choose a mace? Do you choose a dagger, an axe, or the bow and arrow? AJ.
Oh, maces, definitely.
Okay. What about you, Mark?
I would have said mace, but I'll go with spear.
Okay. Steely Sam, what weapon are you taking?
I can't take the mace too. I gotta grab some.
No, there's plenty of maces. If you want a mace, you can have a mace.
Obviously taking the mace.
Okay. And then Fred.
Well, of course it's the mace
Yes.
because I watched your video and I've read your book, and
Everybody knows you can't.
and
throw
everybody
through one,
knows
yeah.
everybody knows that if you're dealing with
Yes.
if you want to break a skeleton, you got to bash it.
Yep.
Splintered bones, best thing.
Yep, absolutely. So in 5th edition, and this may be true for other systems, the skeleton is vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. So you are going to grab the mace.
Yep.
So the way I set this puzzle up is if you hit it with a weapon that does piercing or slashing damage, it's going to crumble, and then 2 more skeletons are going to come out of that. So they're going to multiply. So if you grab
welcome.
the axes and the spears, and they die in 1 hit, but they keep multiplying the more you use that. So in order to get out of this puzzle room with the skeletons, you have to smash them with a mace, and then they don't. That's it.
Makes sense.
Yep. Thanks for playing along.
Well, man, how many years ago did you prepare the answer to this question?
It's been like 3 years ago.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. And this is the only reason I really know the answer to this puzzle is one, it's super simple because my brain is like a peanut, and I already know the answer to the puzzle because I've done the puzzle before. It helps to actually have cheated in advance. So my ideas, I have 3 ideas, but I'll do them fairly quickly. The first one is I think that skeletons make like an excellent labor force that you don't have to worry about them striking. You don't have to worry about them rioting. They won't eat, they won't drink, they won't sleep. They never need breaks. There's no unions involved whatsoever. They just keep working, that's why the Wizards of Thay are right into using skeletons, because they just keep doing their thing, and they don't really wear out. Not really. I mean, I suppose they might eventually wear out, but they're kind of magically held together. So I don't think there's like the wear and tear that a normal living creature has to contend with. And because skeletons make a great labor force, it really essentially means that you can also use them. And all this, people, all this. I know this. That's why I'm leaving the last one to the very end. An army of undead skeletons, like they're cheap, renewable. Okay, for those of you who are concerned about your environment and we were reusing the leftovers from something else, so you don't have to worry about the environmental impact or anything like that. Okay, reusable troops, and you don't have to worry about writing letters back to the family because somebody died, because they already died. Like, can you imagine what it must be like for those officers in an army where they've got to write like hundreds and hundreds of letters to, fathers and mothers and so forth, saying, I'm sorry, but, during the war, your loved one has passed away. No more.
No.
And we don't need to worry. Well, actually, I think skeletons run into the same problem that robots do, don't they really? What's the difference? Robot, skeleton, probably going to take over the world, essentially. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, so we'll leave that one alone. Last one. This is a bit more outside the bracket, and that is the Skeleton Crew. Now, the Skeleton Crew is a death metal heavy rock band. Okay. They get down and dirty. They're all bald, like there's no hair left. So don't think about them being... Yeah, exactly. Thank you for demonstrating. Don't need to worry about combing your hair or anything like that. But I mean, they thrash it out. And when they put on a concert, it's not like an hour long. It's going to be 3 or 4 hours long. You will be able to dance until you puke. So you're going to have a good time. And more than likely, because they don't have to worry about hearing damage, the music is going to be really loud. So yeah, burst eardrums everywhere for sure. So the Skeleton Crew, a heavy metal or death band, for those of you who want something a bit more hard rock. Okay, so that was my idea. Is there anybody got anything they wanted to add for the skeleton for today?
Yes. Carry on, Wally.
Add to it. I mean, we could probably replace a few ribs or something if you want to go that far. No, I just want to point out that so Richard has a question in the chat. There is oh wait, we already read that one. Oh crap. Go ahead, AJ. I gotta find out where it was at. I'm a terrible chat reader. I'm like, oh, get my glasses.
There's all sorts of alternate skeletons that you can use too. So don't be restricted to the body form of whatever that creature was originally. Like there's some great classic skeletons with like a head on both ends, and the ribs are like a centipede that it moves around on. And you can, like bone golem type things of all kinds. You can get golems with mismatched parts. So it's got like ogre arms on a gnome body. You know. It's just like absolutely ridiculous.
Diablo has a lot of stuff like that where it's like, ooh, that's not a normal skeleton. Like crab looking things.
Just go on ArtStation and type in undead bones, and you'll be flooded with like crazy, crazy designs. And just like the idea that this thing is, like somebody mentioned that if you have like a shaman, I got stuck in a fight once. It was one of the most epic fights ever. I killed. We lost count of the amount of skeletons that I had to go through, because there was an orc shaman at the back of the place that we didn't want to kill because we were trying to get information out of him about the rest of the orc tribe. And this guy was in a crypt that he'd set up, he had limitless amounts of bones, and he was just summoning skeletons and sending them at us, and we're just mowing them down as we went. And he just kept animating more and more of them. So like literally the smashed bones of skeletons were... So you could almost see the outline of whatever spirit it was, and then the bones just went and fit into place like a magnetic force, and then it was coming at you. Yeah, so it was just like this dark spirit given physical form. And as Fred was saying with the Thayan thing, as you're coming into Thay, there's all these, it's kind of famous for being a tropical sort of arid climate, with these mountain steps as you're going towards it. Anybody who's just watched the D&D movie would be interested in Thayan lore. So it's a Thay Mount. So it's a stepped sort of mountain going up to the high peak where all the nobles and stuff live. And on these plateaus is big grain fields. Think like Spartacus, type grain or gladiator grain fields. And in those grain fields looks like scarecrows, and you've got the black cape and the scythe, and it turns around and it's a skeleton scything wheat just as you walk in there. It's very picturesque. It's just like, that's all you need to say is like, oh, there's something wrong with this place. It looks ideal, but there's a dark underbelly to Thay. Yeah.
I like what Sam had said of the fact that they're almost like window dressing just in themselves, because it immediately sets a tone. You see skeletons, it immediately, you're like, okay, this is dark and scary. Yeah, I mean, they do have that effect. That's a great point.
And the idea that they're silent too, they don't speak, but lichens certainly do.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Don't know how, but they do.
Right.
I think it'd be cool to put something living in a skeleton. So when you get to an encounter or something's trapped inside of its like rib cage or whatever, can't get out. Like that. Yeah. That'd be a lot of fun.
Undead weasels.
Devour.
Or maybe something you don't want to get out. So if you kill a skeleton, it shatters, and then that whatever's in there escapes. That would be that'd be terrifying.
Or its bones are full of cockroaches or scarabs. Good one.
There you go.
What about an undead bumblebee in it flying around in its rib cage?
Yeah.
Or
it's a tiny undead Pegasus.
Bringing it back. Just bringing it back.
Undead unicorn Pegasus.
Man's a pro. Bringing it right back. Yeah.
That
squatty potty.
That poops in monotone.
No.
Poops in monotone. Okay. All right.
I do have something for you, Mark. So I was looking at the chat because I thought, I was like, man, was I the only one that thought that? And I see Dale at Blackbird Studio Design says, Sir Bones a lot sounds like he should be a bard. And I was going to mention that. I was going to be like, Mark, you might want to rethink that name on your family channel, Sir Bones a lot.
So you got to get it. You got to join us, Dale. You got to join us at some point.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like somebody that's enjoying their college tuition a little bit too much.
It's that Barry White music does every time.
Either that or he's Scottish. It's Scottish. With bagpipes, kilt.
It's that death metal.
Gonzo had a bard character who had bagpipes and a kilt. Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Yes. Hey, for those of you who are wondering, if you're still playing 5e and not playing a different system, I can assure you that if you throw 400 zombies or 400 skeletons, because I've done it before, like the idiot that I was, because somebody had said in the design team that low-level monsters were still a challenge for high-level characters. I think like the characters were about level 6. There were 7 of them. No, they're not a challenge. They can stand there forever. You know, they'll climb up a tree, and those who've got armor on, they just sit there and they say, Fred, we can only kill 2 or 3 every round with the number of attacks that I have. We're going to be here a long time. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So when you start thinking, oh, I want an army to attack them with skeletons, 400, don't do it. Trust me, I've already done it. You don't need to.
It has been done.
So
I want magical armor. What are you talking about? Your armor takes no damage. That's why you never run out of gold.
Yeah, that's the weakness. That's the weakness of the skeletons. It's really strong individuals. When you have a skeletal army up against another army, every person they lose is another addition to the skeletal army. But if they're up against one biggin, we can't get through. Yeah, our attacks can't get through.
Yeah.
Rough. Anyway, let us know in the comments section how you would go about using the skeleton, whatever type of skeleton you want in your game. Okay, that's where it needs to be. We're all terribly interested because we only offered how many ideas? Maybe 5, 6, 7 ideas, 7, 8, 9. I don't know. There's definitely got to be more ideas, so you can fill in the gaps, I'm sure. So let us know. Wally, can I move on to the next monster?
Yes.
Or do we need to?
No.
Does anybody need to go to the squatty potty, or do we keep going? Hey man, it got to laugh. I've got to keep using it, and until I get something else.
Yeah.
This stream sponsored by Squatty Potty.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just didn't pay
Link down in the description.
any money. They didn't pay him any money.
No, I'm not putting that link in the description. It's not happening.
Hey, listen, not sponsored. They are amazing. they are amazing.
Yeah. You know, I used to sell a lot of them when I was at Mitre 10 in the plumbing department. So, yeah, absolutely. Bathroom and plumbing. God, why did I ever do that? Anyway, next monster. So how would you go about using the Dryad in your game? In an interesting, fun way, maybe tell us a little bit about it. I know you're going to do this anyway. This is directed at AJ because I'm going to lead off with AJ again because it's always best to just lead off with all the lore anyway. So I don't have to do it, so I can talk less since I've been talking so much as it is. Let us know how you'd go about using it in your role-playing game. Go, AJ, yours.
Everybody's got to have a least favorite monster, and I don't really like Dryads. I like Nymphs because Nymphs are like, they kill you with, they're so super attractive that you literally can't stand in their presence without being supernaturally horny to death. There we go, I got it in there. Yeah, but the cool thing about Dryads is like, just go and watch Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's in the trees. You can't see it. It's ducking between the different trees. How does it keep attacking us? It's in the trees. It is the trees. You know, it's moving through trees. It's teleporting from tree to tree. The cool thing about Dryads, though, is that they are linked to their tree. Their life force is bound to that tree. So they get, if you destroy their tree or the forest gets burnt down or the water gets poisoned or something like that, the Dryads go crazy. They turn into horrible monsters. Otherwise, they're just beautiful nature spirits that are like, my oak, you know. And they're very tied in with elves and things like that. So they're animated by the life force of the forest. They're literally the Fey representation of the spirit of the trees. So they're tied in. And remember, the Feywild is story driven. That's the basics of its physics. So where the Dryad is, it turns that local area into the Dryad story. So everywhere where the Dryad is turns into a Dryad delve. So everything becomes beautiful, more lush and animated. So the life force of the Dryad is spilling out into the local area. So if something is affecting that, things get dark and ugly, and the Dryad turns into a twisted, horrible monster. And one of the worst things is like a Dryad that is being burnt or is dying of thirst, because then that tree's got a drink and your blood is wet. You're just fertilizer.
We're back here again.
Yeah.
Cool. We just need to have this sign. We just need to have mature sign up all the time.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at The Last of Us with the cordyceps. Basically, the Dryad is full of cordyceps, right? So it just opens its mouth and tendrils of roots come out and drains your blood. And it's like, and it looks more attractive afterwards. It's got a rosy glow to its cheeks.
So, I mean, and of course, humans are 80% water. So,
Yeah.
you
It's
are.
all well and good until the leaves start to wilt, and then it's just like food.
Yeah, lovely, cool. Okay, well now we have a Dryad vampire. I'm pretty sure that's a Dryad vampire.
You're welcome.
Dear Steely, the Dryad. I believe that you're ready for this. Do you have a Dryad at home that you could talk about, or am I talking to the wrong person?
I wish.
Okay.
Dryads are one of my favorites, actually. I love Dryads. So there's a line in the monster manual in the description of Dryads that sticks out to me, and it's that Dryads are becoming a Dryad is a punishment for falling in love with a mortal. And for some reason, Dryads stick that line combined with the fact that they're bound to a tree. I can't like get it out of my head that a Dryad is like the super clingy girlfriend. So if because they're stuck at home, they're stuck at their tree, they can't go far from it. They lost everything because they fell in love with a mortal. Like they just couldn't get over it, right? They couldn't I got a responsibility, but this mortal, I'm in love with them, So that I always imagine them as just these super clingy like yondirs if you're into anime, the waifus. So whenever my party is introduced to a Dryad, they immediately cling. I pick one, somebody I want to pick on, and then just cling to them, and will not let them go. If the party tries to leave, it may get hostile. It may get hostile, but
why won't
we'll
you
try
hang
everything.
out with me?
I've
Am I
never
not
really-
pretty enough for you?
I never really thought of that. Like you have those fish that have got a little lantern to draw things in. Maybe it's just the tree itself making this beautiful approximation of a person.
Fruits on the tree. Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, you like pears? You like pears?
Hey, baby.
Take
I
a
like
rest
pears.
in my roots. Take a rest, please. Hey,
Why is that Dryad twerking at me? It's like
don't go. Just super clingy.
it's like
Yeah.
no, Sir Paradis, no, do not.
I
Yeah.
like that.
So Steely, you've just presented us with the femme fatale Dryad. For those of you who wanted to a shortening, that's essentially what it is, the femme fatale. A nice job.
I'm going to name my Dryad Nicki Mirage.
Oh my. Oh man.
Okay. The scientists play a lot of work today. It's working hard. Okay, Mark, the Dryad. Okay, we none of us have actually got to the point that we laughed so hard that we actually needed to go and use the toilet. So it's your turn. Away you go.
Oh wow. It's all right. I don't know if I got lives.
You got a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, that's it was not funny. This was actually a dark one. So this is I think the lore says anyway. This is so intimidating with AJ here. So they're deeply connected, obviously, to the natural world, and to be kicked out of their grove or their community would be absolutely devastating, to lose that connection that they had with the tree or the trees that they were around. So this one, Silene is a Dryad that was she was kicked out, forsaken. And she was accused of corrupting the plants around in her care, and that they were all starting to turn black and really hideous like. And she was accused of this. So she was kicked out, and come to find out that blackening and the sickening and the twisting of the vegetation and the trees around was caused by this dark energy, the dark magic that was coming up underground and was affecting these trees. But she was blamed for it. So she has been exiled, and she has perfected. She basically, her mindset was, oh, you think I'm this horrible person that did these things? Well, okay, then I'll be that horrible person. And so she has perfected this, where she conjures up carnivorous plants, poisonous plants, to try to kill the elders that kicked her out of this community at any turn. So she's out for vengeance against this community that kicked her out. So that is Silene the Dryad, who's been slighted.
Very poison ivy.
Yep.
The first thing that pops into my head is
Yeah.
poison
Very
ivy.
much. Very much.
Blights, the Blights for 5th edition, they fit in very well with Dryads and stuff like that. They could be their twisted children or something like that.
Very good.
Yep.
Or something. I don't know. I always found blights in D&D kind of pathetic and rather boring. But they're just like tree things that don't really do much. They slap you to death, don't they? They slap you to death with a stick finger.
They have thorns, darts, things like that. I mean, any poisonous thing that a plant has, any sort of weapon that a plant has, a blight or a dryad could use.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Right, Wally. You know what it is. It's the Dryad.
The Dryad.
And I'm trying to remember back if there's a puzzle about a Dryad in your book that you're going to present to us, but I'm pretty sure there isn't. But I could be wrong.
There is not in this book, Fred. But
you heard it here, people. It's going to come in the future.
Puzzle book 2, which I'm currently working on. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I am going to possibly be including a Dryad. But let me start from the very beginning. So what I think would be really cool with Dryads is you would have different types and they would have different effects on trees. So I have never really used the Dryad a lot prior to this year, but now I've used it like 2 or 3 different times, and the first time I used it more in a horror type of a thing where they had this evil effect on a tree, and then this tree was like putting out these like this bad, it gave everybody like an evil case of hay fever, more or less. And it was just the effect that it had on this tree created these blooms that sent out things and affected people's breathing. That was my asthma one shot that I'm writing with the asthma zombies, but that's a whole different story. So switching gears, I put out a poll on my channel not too long ago. I wanted to do a puzzle based on a board game. I've done a few before. I've done one on Clue. I've done one, I don't even remember what the other one was. But one of my patrons, or actually one of the members of my Discord, was writing a Candyland game, and I was brainstorming a little bit back and forth with them, and so I was just like, I am going to write this. I'm going to do a one shot. I'm going to have a puzzle, and I am going to have the lollipop puzzle. And before you get to there, you have to go through the licorice forest. So that's where my Dryads are going to come in. I'm sorry it took so long to get here, but hopefully it's going to be worth it. If not, I'm going to farm information from everybody, so it doesn't matter. So before I continue, I did put a poll out, another poll out on my channel, and I asked, and I'll ask each of you, what's your opinion? I know as far as licorice goes, there's like true licorice, and there's like anise flavored licorice, which is in the United States, a lot of the black licorice that I've encountered is like an anise flavor and stuff, and I don't like it. I prefer the red licorice, which I guess isn't even licorice at all. It's just like a strawberry candy type of a thing. So if you were to pick like a red or a black licorice, which one would you pick it and why? AJ, do you have a preference? Are they both nasty?
I prefer black salted licorice because I have Scandinavian heritage, so I love that.
What about you, Mark?
Chewy, thick licorice.
Yeah.
Red. I cannot stand the black stuff. Blah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from, I think the licorice, what we call black licorice over here, is a lot different in other parts of the world. What about you, Stu and Sam? No. Oh yeah, there you go. Right there.
I also chew on licorice root.
I love black licorice. I love Barks root beer, which is has that black licorice flavor. Absolutely love it. You either love it or hate it. I don't think I've ever met anybody that's like, it's
right? Yeah, it's pretty strong feelings. Yeah.
What about you, Fred? Black or red, or does it matter?
For me, it's the black. But then I'm not talking about the black licorice that you buy in a dairy or a sweet store or anything like that, or the red one, because they don't really taste like anything but sugar. That and coloring. That's really all they are. Yeah. What AJ was holding up is licorice root. Now, licorice root actually tastes quite a bit different. And you can buy licorice root. It's not cheap, but you can buy it usually in health stores and stuff like that. But there are companies, I think it's called LJ's in New Zealand, that sells natural licorice. and it is licorice root that has been pretty much just turned into a long, narrow, windy, wiggly thing that kind of looks like the licorice that you're kind of used to, but the taste and the flavor is significantly better. And if once you've eaten that stuff, you never really want to go back to the other stuff, because the other stuff tastes like eating a rubber tire that somebody left in the mud, drove over and left on the ground for about 200 years. So it's just not the same. So once you've actually had real licorice root, that's just, you never want to go back. And
this is from Africa, by the way, African chewing sticks, they call it. It's licorice root. Yeah. I should also mention, lore-wise, legendary, Dryads means oak in Greek. So dryads are specifically linked to oak trees. Other dryads are possible, but they wouldn't be called dryads correctly.
Interesting.
But nobody cares.
Oh, very good.
Well, they might care because they hear listening about monsters.
Yeah, so if you have another tree type, you could call it something else. Look up the Greek word for that tree and call the monster something different.
Interesting. I did not know that. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this Candyland type adventure, and I'm going to have red licorice dryads and black licorice dryads, and their hair is going to be like braided in like Twizzler fashion and stuff like that. And then the trees that they inhabit, the trees are going to look like licorice sticks. And then because over here, like the Twizzlers is one of the main brands, and it's got like the thicker stuff that looks like it's all spiraled out, and then sometimes you get the stringy stuff. So what I plan on doing is having the black licorice dryads. They're going to have that ability to, maybe charm them as they're coming through this forest, and then they're going to get wrapped up in the black licorice things. And the same with the red. So as they're going through this licorice forest, the red and the black dryads are trying to, they're like fighting over them as they come through. The black licorice trees are going to pull them in and tangle them up, and the red ones are going to tempt them with like strawberries or cherries or fruits or something like that. And then once they get close enough, to just hug them and stuff. So I guess I don't really have too much on the Dryad. That's just some of the things that have been going through my head. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of the licorice Dryad?
Does their hair taste like licorice?
It could. I mean... yeah,
or does it taste like Vegemite?
No.
Really?
That's the real question. Vegemite, yes or no?
No.
Marmite,
no.
thank you. Marmite. We're not Australians.
I know you're not, but I know you know about it probably more than we do. You probably have seen it more readily than we have here.
I'm somewhat controversial in my country because I don't have a preference for either. I'm like Vegemite or Marmite. It's fine with me. It's just like...
What's Marmite? I don't know that one.
Marmite's the same thing. It's just Marmite's better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot stronger too. So you can hurt yourself. You can hurt yourself with Marmite if you're not careful.
Yeah. For those who don't know, it's essentially if you took all the stuff that you make beer from and then you turned that into a spread that you put on toast, that's Marmite.
It's true. It's true. It's essentially a spread that's beer.
It's yeasty mash. Yeah.
It's yeast mash. Yeah.
Beer
it's very rich in vitamins and minerals.
And going back to the licorice Dryad and licorice in general, but the licorice Dryad in particular, if you were to eat part of the licorice Dryad, I can assure you it would have the same effect as eating licorice root, and that is you will fart like a trooper. And you will be on the toilet.
There we go again.
Squatty potty.
On the squatty potty.
Oh my gosh.
This segment sponsored by Squatty Potty. Link down in the
description. You've got to be very
No
careful
links.
about real.
Yeah, licorice does have a laxative effect in excess amounts. It's true.
There's no squatties. There's no links.
Combine that with coconut water from a coconut Dryad tree, and you're ready to go. Okay. All right. So that was your contribution. I believe it's mine. I'm just going to crack my knuckles and let's see what I have here.
Here we go.
So I have 3 ideas, and I'm going to present the best one last, as I always do. For me, I think the Dryad it makes sense that the Dryad be a Fae realm guardian. Like if anybody was going to be a guardian of the forest and the Fae and that world, it's going to be a Dryad, because they can kind of move move from the world into a tree. They can kind of move between them. And they can move across the world from one tree to another. And I believe that they can't really move too far away from their home tree because the effect on them is so dramatic. So they probably wouldn't do that, but they could if they had to in a pinch. And so I'm thinking, well, because the home tree of a Dryad is so important, you could probably make an adventure or a goal around going and finding a new oak tree, because it generally has to be an oak tree for a Dryad, an oak tree for them to merge with, because their old tree died. Because when the old tree dies, they will also die if they don't bond with another tree. And that would be, of course, a sad thing for the Dryad in particular. Sad for the tree because they're going to die anyway. But generally, I can see that being something where you could make it nice and simple. Dryad is in dire straits, and you get a favor from the Dryad for not that sort of favor. You get a favor from the Dryad, and all you got to do is find a nice big oak tree. Now, normally, I believe, I don't know if it's necessarily set in concrete. I don't know if this is something that D&D lore is thrown out there, but my understanding is the tree needs to be relatively mature, so about 50 years or more. But I'm not sure if that's part of mythology or whether that's just something that somebody made up in the D&D lore. So I think the idea is it doesn't necessarily have to be 50 years old, but at least it needs to be a mature oak tree that's got to a point where it's not really like a sapling anymore. Or, how do you merge with a sapling when you're a Dryad? I don't know. Where are you going to go? There's not much space, really. It's mostly in the ground otherwise. So that would be a suggestion. I think that would make quite a good adventure for Dryad. And the last one is a little bit more contentious. Wally doesn't like contentious stuff. We don't like to do tabloid stuff here. We don't like to do any of that sort of stuff, but I'm going to do something like this, but in a bent way.
Oh boy.
The environmental activist, okay? If anybody is going to be an environmental activist in your game, it's going to be a Dryad. Stop cutting down trees. And they will go to great lengths.
Literal tree huggers.
Yeah, literally tree huggers. That's right. Yeah, we've got tree huggers, environmental activists. Do not cut down the trees. And they will go to great lengths. They won't just protest outside your office with signs. No, you're going to find everything in your garden. Your veggie garden is decimated. There's nothing left. It's like the Dryad just picked it up and took it home. It's gone. It's somewhere else. You don't get to have your veggies anymore. No more lettuce for you. No more carrots. Okay. You thought you had that nice tree in your garden. No. It just suddenly moved. It just picked up, walked away. The Dryad said, nah, they shouldn't have trees in their home. If they have trees, they can breathe because it makes oxygen. No, we're going to take them. They're going to walk away. You got an awakened tree. You know what? Your whole veggie garden walking away, plus all the trees in your garden, any kind of shrubs, they're going to go. They're gone. All right. Stark desert. That's what you're going to get. Stark desert. So the environmental activist is the Dryad for sure.
So Fred, that immediately makes me think of Christmas tree Dryads. Like what happens?
Christmas tree Dryad?
Yeah, like what happens when people come looking for a Christmas tree to chop down and put in their house?
Oh, it's gone. It actually it was there yesterday and
away.
it just walked away.
Yeah.
It's a blight. It's a blight now. A very pretty blight.
And people that have the Christmas tree lot are going, trees don't just walk away. Yeah, well, these did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have so many weird and creepy ideas for Dryads. First of all, though, acorns. Right, so you can use or a good berry could be an acorn nut, explosive, or in the movie Willow, the original one, is a magical acorn that petrifies anything that it hits, that he uses on the Hydra, I believe it was. Spoilers. The idea that an oak tree can be turned into something else, and the spirit of the Dryad is now in that thing. A wizard's staff, for instance, it's got a couple of leaves, but the Dryad is like desperately sick. And when it comes out of that wizard's staff, he's like, get back in. Nasty. The prow of a ship built with oak with the lady on the front of a ship is the Dryad. trapped and screaming as she is crashing through the waves and biting into the shore. You can have all sorts of ideas like this. Or, a wizard's got a tiny, weeny little bonsai oak tree. And when the Dryad comes out, she's munted and twisted up and is answering his questions about the Feywild. Tell me more, or I'll cut off another leaf.
Oh, my.
So if it wasn't clear to anybody, AJ's not particularly fond of Dryads. He's not particularly, so it's going to be dark themed for AJ, the Dryad. There's one other thing I wanted to mention about the Dryad. My understanding is that if you go right back to the mythology of the Dryad, when a tree gets to a certain point in terms of age, it may actually wind up forming a spirit. And that spirit of the tree forms into a Dryad that lives within the tree. And so for those of you who are thinking, well, we have the Dryad and then we have the tree. No, it's like the chicken and the egg. Which came first, the chicken and the egg? No, it's the tree came first and then the Dryad comes next. But you can actually go both ways, right? You can go either way. But I just thought I wanted to put that out to you. Oak tree gets to a certain age and actually forms its own Dryad spirit bonded. And of course, they would share a sort of a symbiotic relationship. You could even have like a
Treant,
a Treant who's bonded with a Dryad. That would kind of make a lot of sense. Then you don't have to worry about somebody chopping down.
Myconid tree mushrooms that are growing on the side of those shelf mushrooms.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah, very Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Smoking a pipe.
Speaking of treants, Fred, I'm going to pull a few of these comments out of live chat here, and one of them mentions that. So Pale Rider says, Dryad find a time that allows her to change her tree into a treant, and now she's mobile. I think that's good. That kind of magic where the tree it might be a mundane tree, but then the Dryad is able to give it life. So that's pretty cool. Back to there's a lot of comments about black licorice and Jägermeister and Red Bull and Barg's root beer and stuff. So I appreciate all the support on the licorice stuff. There's even a comment. Where did it go? Someone said red licorice roper. Yes, Rupari says red licorice roper. That would be even better than the red licorice.
I'm always a fan of ropers coming at you from weird angles. Like they should never be just like a cave monster.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here.
Shout out to Matt Click, who I got in a petrified forest in the desert.
Nice. Balkamion says, ran an adventure like this for my daughters. They had to escort a young Dryad to a new tree. I like that as an idea for a one shot or something like that. That's really cool. And there's honestly a lot of good comments and some maybe not as appropriate in there. So thanks again to live chat for keeping it awesome and sometimes a little spicy.
Keeping it real. Well, we're keeping it real too.
I do really like those ideas with the treant, like using the Dryad because if the treant can't get into a city, the Dryad could like stealth her way in there, and then being like like almost a husband and wife duo was kind of funny. Yeah. But the clingy girlfriend Dryad treants like
it just made sense.
It's so funny. Yeah. It's so great.
Yeah, it is. And of course, a Dryad, depending on the season, I believe they pretty much just look like a very attractive woman. So you know,
nymphs are synonymous because the Dryad is a type of nymph, so nymphs are synonymous with being supernaturally attractive. Yeah.
So getting into town wouldn't be a problem at all, I'm sure. You just wouldn't want to stay in town for too long. Okay, now we've been sharing all the ideas we have for the Dryad with you. So let us know in the comments section how you would go about using the Dryad in your game, because I would very much like to know, and I rewatch all of these anyway, so might as well put it in there, because at least one person will be watching and looking at your comments, probably a lot more, maybe more, who knows, maybe. So put something in there. Are we all right to continue, people?
I think so. You guys ready for the last monster? I think.
Last monster, and it is a monster. It's a little itty bitty monster. Not a huge one. It's a little itty bitty one. AJ, I have a question before we introduce the next monster. Did you bring by any chance your little buddy? Do you remember that imp video you did?
Oh, how could I forget? That's the most divided comments in any of my videos between people who love the Imp guest star in my video and those who absolutely detested it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You wouldn't happen to have brought that little sucker with you?
No, I did not.
Oh no, darn! For a second there, I was. I could only
summon him for a short amount of time, and that was too long.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, and of course things get harder nowadays. So, all right, that's a shame. It's a shame. I was hoping, because I was thinking, gosh, I could just see people being drawn to that. If that imp showed up in every single one of your videos, it would be just diabolical. But yeah, anyway, let's keep going. So how would you go about using the imp? You know what the imp is, or if you don't know what the imp is, don't worry, because somebody's going to explain to you what the imp is in a second. How would you use the imp in a fun and interesting way in your role-playing game? Please let us know. And we're going to start off with AJ, because everybody knew I was going to say that anyway. AJ, the imp.
So imps are devils, and devils, as we know, can live for thousands and thousands of years. So the first thing that you deal with when you've got an imp is that they're small, but they're extremely devious, they're extremely clever, and they've seen everything before, and they're only out for themselves. So they are the messengers and the almost like the medics in some cases. Some imps have got special functions, like a blood imp, for instance, like does transfusions on devils and stuff in the battlefield. So they're almost like medics. They also are absolutely experts at stealth, because they can naturally turn invisible, and they can sting you in the neck with a scorpion stinger on their tail at any time. They look quite humanoid, but of course they have large sort of bat-like wings, and they've got very classic devilish features. So they're almost like a miniature flying version of the horned devils. Horned devils look a lot like a large imp without wings, or maybe stumpy little wings and horns growing all over their body. But they look sort of similar. And every devil in D&D, at least, has got the potential to be busted down to an imp, and they've got this organ in their body sort of thing, which that version of them bursts out of their previous form. It's never a nice transition. It's always a horrific transformation where the new version of themselves literally tears itself out of the old one. So yeah, promotions and demotions in the Nine Hells are arduous. Yeah, everything involving their hierarchy is always harsh. And imps can be stuck in that form for a very long time, and it's always like, well, make the most of it. And imps, because of that, have got their own hierarchy and like secret order of doing things. And there's all sorts of different imps that have all sorts of hierarchy and favors owed amongst themselves. They are always conniving and playing off the power factions between different devil lords of hell. Always traveling between the different layers and stuff. So if you can get an imp and owing you a favor, they have enormous amounts of information and can be really good guides. But you must understand that they're always after their own, they're always trying to get ahead. So they will twist that and use it against you. They will seem to set up a situation where you owe them a favor, but in actual fact, they do not. They are manipulating you because they've done it 1,000 times. 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. And they do, that's the way they get into people. They get into people because they put on that like, little me, and they'll play up being an idiot, but they're not. They're very, very clever, very, very smart.
Yes, and if you wanted to know more about the imp, I can assure you you'll get plenty of information on AJ's channel, because there is an imp video, and if you haven't watched it, the first half of it in particular is just hilarious. It's hard to even sort of you don't even sort of get into the topic, and but the banter back before
that was really the genesis of me being a narrator in the Forgotten Realms, because the idea was like there was a summoned imp in my room somewhere, and it was talking, and I was just like constantly distracted by it during the video. Just to forewarn you, it's really annoying. Yeah, but that's kind of what they like. It's just like you'll be doing something, and then the imp will be like, hey, by the way, it's like, hey, we're trying to be stealthy here, and you've just given away our position. The imp knows exactly what it's doing. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Now, Steely, you still with us? You've got something with some impish information on it, some impish tendencies, some devilish sort of stuff going on there?
I can. I could probably talk about imps as much as the dryads. So the great thing about running devils is they are lawful, and they are usually trying to make a deal in order to get, as AJ mentioned, they're trying to get a promotion. That's like the key. I don't even think imps have a true name, or maybe that's the first devil that gets a true name. But they want to be promoted, and they don't have a whole lot to offer in ways of power. But as AJ said, they have a lot of information. The thing that I love to do with imps is they acknowledge that the party that you're running is powerful and will become very powerful. So their souls are very valuable. And if an imp, in general, if an imp could convert even just one party member, at least in their mindset, that could be a huge promotion for them. So what do they have to offer the party? Being a familiar. So I love as a DM having the imp offering their services and then just slowly sowing seeds of evil to the party member. Like every opportunity they have, and even as I'm the DM, if I'm running an NPC imp, I can create these opportunities for the imp to say, hey, this place, the rules here don't really make any sense. Why is this illegal? And then just kind of like breadcrumb them to the path of evil. So
nice.
And the more powerful the party gets, the more resources I think the imp would have access to from hell. Like, hey, I've got these, these quality things. So that's like a whole nother hierarchy of deals to be met. Maybe the imp's making deals with other devils to get more stuff for the party, to make deals with the imp, and just long chain. So the imp is a great way for me to be the evil voice in the party's shoulder. Like, hey, you should be doing things wrong.
I love it.
Nice.
Like, I know you agreed to let this goblin live if he led you to the cave, but goblins are the bad guys. They ambushed us. So maybe just slit its throat. I know you agreed, but maybe kill him. Maybe kill it anyway. We can't let it be free. So things like that.
Nice.
I love
So
it.
So your imp is essentially like our lobbyist.
Dale just mentioned that they're basically like the board of directors at Hasbro.
Yeah.
Imps in my game are literally the devil on your shoulder.
I love that.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
I should mention that the thing with the devils is they're not just trying to get you to do evil. The way that it works in Dungeons and Dragons mythos is that they're trying to get you to break laws and oaths, particularly to the divine, because that's how they're allowed to do what they do. It's like, if they break divine law, then you can have them, but otherwise they must come to us. And so they're always trying to get you to, like, well, you pass by the shrine, we don't have time to give an alms to your god. It's a pressing concern. It's just like, that's one for them. And then it's just like, you break your word, you go back on a contract, you skip a date or something like that where you said you'll show up. Yeah, they're always trying to get you to break contracts and oaths.
Nice.
I love that.
Mark.
I
wanted to,
before you go on there, just a huge shout out to Steve Zirk. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Steve says, fantastic group of people. Great stuff. Awesome. Well, thank you, Steve. That's
This
awesome.
is a good group. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and appreciate the super chat. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say right now, I'm pretty sure I can see an imp behind you right now, Mark. Is that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man imp?
Yeah. That's
the miniaturized one from the newer movie.
Yes.
That just gets into all sorts of trouble just without the wings.
Right. No, this is Morana. Morana is he's made a name for himself. He's kind of just fashioned himself into a highly skilled assassin, using his skills as an imp. And the thing is, this imps have a lot of things they can do. Like, you look in the monster manual, like, they can shape change into all different little things, which make them really great spies and able to get places that other assassins can't. He is a very highly sought after assassin. He can get to people that people don't normally get to, and he can get in there where they can't. He can turn invisible. He can do all of these things that make him like the absolute perfect assassin. So one of his favorite ruses that he does, the way he likes to kill his prey, is he tricks them into like, hey, you know what? You're such a great guy. I just want to buy you a drink. And he pours him a drink and pours a drink for himself and pours him and drinks the same thing he poured out. You know, I got this nice, really expensive drink. I want to drink. It pours a drink for each of them. He drinks it. The other person drinks it. That person keels over. It's poison. And because the imp has immunity to that poison, it doesn't affect him at all. So that's one of his favorite ways of killing his prey. So that is Morana the Imp, the imp assassin.
Okay, all right. So you've miniaturized the assassin. I see.
Yeah, really bad.
It's very bad. And as everybody should know, the threat is not nuclear war, it's miniaturization. You know, as soon as your enemy is miniaturized, you just don't know where they're going to pop up, or what they could get up to.
And he could be invisible. I mean, what the heck? What are you going to do with that?
Oh, we haven't mentioned them polymorphing into like spiders and ravens and stuff too. Yeah, so that like a spider in a room is pretty hard to notice. Exactly. Yeah, and they can attack as a spider or a raven. Can a raven use a blowpipe? I don't know. Maybe
that's a mid-journey right there. A raven using a blowpipe.
Yeah, never trust a kinku with a raven on its shoulder.
Yeah.
That's right.
Raven loogies.
Well, the kinku can't talk, but the raven is. It's just like
Wally.
Nice.
Wally, you're looking so much better now. I'm glad to see that either the issue is diminishing or it's you never took it and you were just terrified that you would not be able to actually stay functional. That's fine. That's fine.
It was the imp gave him some poison.
That's right. Yeah, a little sting.
And you just couldn't see him. So how would you use the imp in your games, Wally?
Well, before I would use the imp in my idea, I would probably use the previous 3 ideas that was just presented because all of those were awesome. But what I have written down here, so what I'm going to do with the imp in my game is it's going to be a servant of a devil that has taken a particular interest in the party. And this imp doesn't really need to be sneaky very often, whatever else. But this imp is assigned to the party. So maybe it's like one deed that was a little bit questionable that they may have done that has gotten this devil's attention. And so since Mark names all of his creatures, mine's going to be Reginald the Imp. And if you're familiar with, I think it's in college football, there's a team in Ohio, the Ohio Buckeyes. And every time a player does something really good that should be, like, hey, that was awesome, you did really good, you get a Buckeye on your helmet, which is like a sticker of a Buckeye or whatever. So if you see so you see players with these helmets on that have a bunch of stickers on, that means they do a lot of cool things, or maybe just a few stickers, not as much. So what Reginald the Imp is going to do, it's going to give out like Buckeye stickers. So anytime that the party does something that is questionable or maybe leans towards evil or what the devil wants them to do, then he's going to give them something. Maybe it's on their weapon. It's like I don't know. Help me out here, chat, because I'm going with smiley faces right now. So maybe it's like a smiley face on their sword, or
dark.
Or maybe it's smiley faces are dark, or maybe it's some type of burn mark or something on their arm, or something along that line. And if the party gets angry and just kills the imp, it's going to die, and then the devil's going to send Reginald the Second. Reginald the Second dies, they're going to send Reginald the Third. So Reginald is going to keep coming back and back, and they'll have to figure out some way to get out of Reginald. Maybe it's whoever gets the most Buckeyes. Maybe there's like a 10 Buckeye limit, and so if one of the players get that, then that character is like drawn into hell, and the rest of them got to go get him. I haven't really thought that far ahead, but I just like the idea of this imp being like, oh, that was fantastic. Here, have a sticker. Like, I did good today, kind of a thing. So that's all I got. Like I said, I'll take the previous 3 ideas first.
Wow. Okay, so I've got to follow that up. It's always difficult when there's really good ideas and you've got to try to follow up with something at the end of the panel. I have a couple of ideas. I actually have written down 5 ideas, but I'm going to spit them out really fast, even faster than before.
Wow.
And So let's go with this. I think that an imp acts as a really annoying companion, and this is the idea is primarily from AJ's video. Like that just, can you imagine like a companion that follows the party around and they're constantly doing things that are annoying? It's like having Jar Jar Binks with you, but just smaller with wings. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, because they can transform and because they can be invisible, they would actually make a great political animal spy. Somebody was mentioning spies, using them as a spy. But if you are in the political realm and you needed to get information, like having an imp at your disposal, considering that you were going to do horrible things anyway as a politician, you might as well go all the way, right? Just go straight to the source, get your information from the imp. They're not necessarily going to give you the right information, but if they know that you're going to do something bad with that information, they're probably going to give you the right information, knowing fully well that you'll pursue your evil tendencies as a politician. Not that I'm suggesting that all politicians are evil, but in your role-playing games, they certainly can be if you want them to be. And the other one is, for those of you who remember Gremlins, I was thinking back to like, what's going to mess with a machine? Like if you're going to sabotage any kind of machine, contraption, any sort of livestock, a windmill or anything like that, anything that's going to work, well, yes, you could use a gremlin, but an imp would be quite happy to mess with stuff around your place. Like instead, you go looking for your socks. They were on the clothesline. They're gone now. You look in your drawers, they're not there. They're not in the washing machine. You just don't know where they are. Like they just vanished. It's like all the hankies and the socks. You can never find them, or they take one away. So they know fully well that you can't use one sock. Okay, decimating your adventurers' lives because they can only wear one sock. Breaking that machine that they need to work at the most appropriate time, like just we've actually set up the machine, we've got the steam engine going, it's all ready, it's going to save the world, and then the gremlin gets in there and messes with it, so everything just falls to custard. You're trying to sort out some sort of ritual to open a portal. Well, it's not going to open because the gremlin's going to get in there and mess with it and screw it up. They scratched off one of the runes and now it just won't work anymore. Sorry, you're not going to be able to do that. A gremlin would also make, I think, a fantastic jester for a king or a queen, where potentially they have to do sort of slightly undermined things or slightly dubious things as a king or a queen. I would imagine that there are some hard choices that have to be made and some choices that you probably shouldn't make as a king and a queen, and an imp would be right there and certainly making fun and jesting about that sort of stuff. Probably not directed at the king or the queen, but certainly at other people coming into court to have audience time with the king and the queen. I'm sure that an imp would be quite happy to attack their personality with jest and heckling in some way.
Could be a magical jester bell that you chop the imp's tail stinger off and then stick the bell on the end of it, and they're forced to be a jester for you.
Yeah. And then the last one is the city street prankster. Your city street prankster is going to be your imp, disguised as something else, as some
a YouTube influencer.
A YouTube could be. So that is everything that I had on the imp. I think we've actually covered a lot of stuff. Is there anything anybody wanted to add about the imp?
With
Yes.
your court idea, I like the idea of giving that imp the ability to mimic voices. So like when the king's not looking, maybe the people that are in there that are being tried or whatever, the imp just like starts rattling off and insulting them, and then it'll turn around. What did you say? I didn't say it. I love that idea.
So many fantastic ideas here for like a devil that pulls out a Gatling gun that shoots screaming imps at you. And I've got this idea of like a hag that's got like a raven that is carrying is her familiar, but it's also like her patron. So an imp can be a patron of, it's a devil. And so it's her patron, but her familiar is the rat imp that it's carrying, and the imp has got a blowgun that shoots imp spiders.
Oh yes. Very
I
nice.
kind of like what Sam was saying. Like you have like a little imp. It's like a little Senator Palpatine going, "Yes, give in to your dark side. Yes, that's
It's like
great." You know?
anti-yoga.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Break
that's
laws,
great.
you must.
Yeah, right.
Steal one
That's
of their
cool.
French fries. They'll never know.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool use.
You can actually have one imp on one shoulder, and on the other shoulder, right, you would have like a what would be a suitable maybe a sprite or a fairy or a pixie or a brownie. Although I feel like a brownie, I mean, a lot of the fae fairies and stuff get up to a lot of mischief. But generally, even though they do get up to mischief, their heart's in the right place as a general. Maybe not. Maybe if we go Disney, fairy, maybe it would work, or pixie. But
An imp like a pilot inside a undead flying pixie or something like that, because they're not that small in D&D. So maybe an imp could like fit into one like a little Gundam.
We could put it in the skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
a Gundam skeleton
back
controlled by
circle again. Yeah.
Yeah. That's riding a Pegasus and crashes
It's
into a
inside.
Dryad
Yeah, it's
tree.
inside the
With a
Pegasus chest
squatty
cavity.
potty.
Yeah.
All right. So
This man's a professional. Don't try this at home, people. He just see how he cycled that back to the. He just
It's all the
looped
cycles,
it right back.
all the loops.
Wow.
yeah,
the
all the
cycles.
loops go right back.
Pale Rider says imps are more OnlyFans than YouTube. He would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the wizard Zagyig who combined devils or something like he had. It was like he's trying to make a security force for his castle, and he made these hornet wasp things that were like part monkey or baboon. So they were baboon wasp hybrid. And I'm thinking maybe you got a nest of imp monkey hybrid wasp things that are in a hive that are in a treant, and they're stinging the treant, and the Dryad has gone crazy, like because they're manipulating the whole thing. So yeah, you could have that would be an adventure in and of itself. Yeah, imps just driving treants crazy and spreading like a plague, like Japanese hornets. Just terrifying.
Flying monkeys. Essentially,
Flying monkeys.
You've got flying monkeys in there. We've got to be careful about talking about flying monkeys because apparently talking about flying monkeys can be construed as something else in the world of RPGs. Recently, it did actually happen, didn't it?
You're talking about Hadozi, the Hadozi, yeah. Wizard of the Coast strikes again.
But,
and I was like, isn't that from The Wizard of Oz? I didn't associate it with anything else. I was thinking, they took that idea from The Wizard of Oz. I remember that.
Hadozi from Star Frontiers, and everything Spelljammer was a ripoff from Space 1889 from way back in the 1980s.
Mm-hmm. And I would imagine they ripped all of that off from The Wizard of Oz.
That's why all the Spelljammer cant is actually based on CB radio banter, because that was very popular at the time, because I was there when it was written.
Yes.
It's like the
Balcamian,
dark magics to me, witch.
Balcamian says the Emperor, IMP, Emperor. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Imp the Emperor.
The Emperor. I love it.
Yes,
Dale,
Imps should definitely be bikers with leather, for sure.
Yeah.
Riding undead Pegasi. That is like good jet propelled.
Yeah.
Back around again.
Back around. Okay.
One
all
big
right.
neat package.
I think my favorite example of how I imagine an imp should be is Iago from Aladdin, the talking bird. I think that's
Yeah.
the best example of it.
Iago probably is an imp. They just didn't draw an imp because they thought putting a little demon flying thing into Disney would probably be construed as something else.
I mean, Gilbert Gottfried
flying
was
monkeys.
basically an imp in human form.
True.
Okay. Let us know in the comments section how you would go about using the imp in your game. I think we have given you a lot of different ideas from everybody, plus a combination of crazy stuff that you probably may not want to ever use. I don't know what sort of game you're running. Are you super serious? Are you a prankster, goofball game master? I can assure you I am a goofball game master. And if I'm not that, I'm definitely Satan in my approach.
Zany
So you get
horror
both.
is definitely a theme in Dungeons and Dragons. Zany horror. I think that's my shtick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
And remember, beware of the dog. Okay,
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, we've done this discussion. Is there anything that anybody wanted to add, since we are probably tootling off to do other things, whether that's to use the toilet or to go and do life stuff or sleep?
I would like to put in a plug for Taran Pounds' Kickstarter for his game system. That's about 50% funded at the moment. So if anybody wants to go and support Taran and Destructiboy,
Yeah,
Go do it.
yeah. Indestructiboy on Twitter, Vagabond. I think there's a link to it. You can find that pretty easy. Esper the Bard's book, very good. Esper's Inventorium of Esoterica and Monstrous Heroes. And Fred's
There's
Some of
a lot of really good Kickstarters out right now.
There is,
FYI.
there is.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, support your. Basically, everybody is an indie publisher that is not Wizard of the Coast. So support everyone else.
Yep. Absolutely.
Lest the Pinkertons come for you.
Absolutely.
That's right. You got to be careful of those pink people too. They're scary.
As far as our next stream, Fred, what are we looking at? A month away? So
Yeah, so I'm going to go on holiday. So for those of you who don't know, I am the idiot that tries to organize this stuff, and Wally is the individual who tries to live stream this and not get too stressed out in the process. AJ is like our. I almost feel like
You're familiar.
familiar. I was going to say mascot. Because man, I couldn't think of anything else. But I don't know. What else do we say? And then of course, Mark is the inspiration behind Fun with Monsters. For those of you who don't know, Mark and Gonzo were the inspiration behind Fun with Monsters. We've decided after some discussion that we're going to come back in about a month, and we're going to build a Back Me Dungeons and Dragons character together in a live stream. So we're all going to build a character together. I believe, AJ, you've signed on for this. I am, because that was my suggestion. Wally said, yes, he will teach me how to do this.
I am the imp in the room.
And we're gonna grab some additional people who are up for doing this, because the idea is that we're going to build in about a month's time, the end of May. We're going to build a Back Me character. Yes, because we're building characters together, it's not going to be this sort of format. It'll probably be worse. In other words, we'll probably crack more jokes.
Can I make a
Probably
wizard
get
named
up to-
Bargle and like make sure that he dies during the campaign just so I can get some sweet revenge on that bastard?
There is
by proxy?
a specific reason, because it's not my understanding that we may play these characters in a short one shot. There's a specific reason why you are not allowed to have a wizard named Bargle. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And I'm assuming we can't name our character Elena either.
Right, Elena.
Cleric.
Right, okay.
Oh,
Just
clerics,
check.
clerics have always been my favorite character class.
Yes.
Oh, no, he didn't say you can play a cleric. You just can't play Elena.
Right.
So the intention.
I choose a mace.
And I will tell you too, Fred, that we'll all create a character online, and then before if we do play before that, you'll have to make at least 2 other characters after that, just as backup characters, because I have been reading that the adventure that we may partake in has like one of the most deadliest encounters in it. So
it's all right, Wally, because as you know, I build characters live on my channel every single week, so I'll have more than enough characters. Besides, there's always room for another one. Like Back Me was like you playing a crash test dummy. So I had Bob Ferris can be replaced by Bob Ferris the second. And then Bob Ferris the third, and then Bob Ferris the 52nd. Okay, so there's no shortage. We'll still keep ourselves in the game if we can. We're just going to replace it with a number.
Yeah, there's different types of mace.
And with that, let's go ahead and get on out of here. Want to thank a big tip of the hat to live chat tonight. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
It's so good to see everybody. Some
On fire.
amazing ideas, a lot of fun in there. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to check out the links to all the YouTube channels, subscribe, and thanks for the support and watching the live stream. And I didn't get us out of here. So
Also,
You poison yourself.
he's poisoned himself. Hey, a big thank you to Steely Sam, because
yes, absolutely.
actually Taran Indestructiboy was supposed to be here today, and he's just not well enough to do it. And we were running around at the very last minute trying to get somebody, and then suddenly Steely said, "I'm up for it." So we were kind of, and it always
It
freaks
was
out.
fun.
I'm glad you
Thank you
had
so
a lot
much.
of fun. Yeah, because Wally freaks out when he thinks of the idea of having to shift from 5 panel members to 4 panel members. Okay, his stress level, it goes from here
Change is bad.
to right up the top. It just pops right out the top of his head.
That's why my nose
Shaking.
was doing weird things.
Yeah.
Sounds
That's it. It was caused by
sounds
stress.
exhausting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for filling in. Yep. Definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
I always get a
Yep.
sore face from smiling so much in these live streams, so they've got to
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah, my muscles
Yeah.
hurt. And with that, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. We'll catch you in the next one, and on to the next.